Hello everybody and welcome to another Delboy film retrospective and unboxing. And well, how do I come about choosing the films that I'm going to be talking about? It's always very difficult for me to choose a particular film. I've got so many that I've watched, and there are so many good ones and so many bad ones, and you can get really excited about both types. But in this particular instance, it was not going along my shelves, and it wasn't going into any of the crates that I've got films on, and it wasn't even a subject matter on the news or skipping through channels. No, what happened this week was that I had an itch to see a Jack Lemmon film. Jack Lemmon is just one of those actors that I have a very fondness for. Just find him in an actually incredible actor and a sad loss to the acting community. And when I was thinking, I thought, did I want to see a comedy or did I want to see something a little bit more harder pushed, a bit of a grittier, harder edge? And I was also trying to think of one that's not talked about very much. And eventually I came to the conclusion that I was going to look at this one, The China Syndrome, which also has Michael Douglas and Jane Fonda. In fact, Michael Douglas produced this film, and it came out in 1979 and was directed by James Bridges. But what is The China Syndrome? Why is it one of my favourite films? Well, I don't like films that are preachy, that try to talk to me and tell me how things are. But I do like a film that touches upon a dilemma, a real possibility of a huge event occurring, a problem, and something as well that could damage the environment, because that makes it quite topical. So the China Syndrome pretty much fills that itch for me. The word China Syndrome, I had to look this up because I've known for years the title and what it was all about, but really didn't know where the term comes from. China Syndrome comes from the term where heated radiation leakage could get so hot and so volatile that it could burn through the core and mantle of the earth all the way through until it reaches China, hence the term China Syndrome. And this film is about a nuclear event and cover-up. So we've got Jack Lemmon, we've got Michael Douglas, and we've got Jane Fonda. And Jane Fonda and Michael Douglas work in the news media. Jane Fonda's character, Kimberly Adams, really wants to be a hard-hitting reporter, but she's an anchor woman who does mainly fluff pieces. And Michael Douglas is the person that generally goes around in his van with his camera, following her around to do these fluff pieces. And they were asked to go to a nuclear power plant. Back in those days, nuclear power plants, just like now, really, are not considered to be great subjects. And so the nuclear industry would want to promote how great nuclear power is and how we should be backing it. And so they asked for the film crew to go there to do a cover piece on how good and clean nuclear energy is. But while there, a nuclear event occurred. There was a tremor, and it's picked up wonderfully on the camera. And you see Jack Lemmon very, very calm, looking at all the dials and buttons on what this possibly could be. But he's taken aback when he goes to pick up his cup of tea and sees the ripples actually in the tea that he was about to drink. An indication of a huge tremor or earthquake about to happen. The event cools down, and Jane Fonda's character and Michael Douglas's character want to actually bring out this news story of what a nuclear event could possibly mean and show it as a hard-hitting story. But that's where the drama comes in, because not only are the owners of the nuclear power plant, the government, and many, many corporations, they all try to stop this article going out. Now, Jack Lemmon is that likable type person, the person that is very much like a Quincy character, if you've ever seen the TV series Quincy. Sort of a lonely person, is always in a dilemma of what do you do for the best and what is the right thing to do. And he is so ingrained at finding out the truth that he comes across what the truth is and then has to work out what should he do. Should he let it ride, or should he actually bring this to the authorities? And this is where it becomes very, very dark, with people being chased in their cars, killed in their cars while going to events to talk about this nuclear trip. And eventually it all boils down to a time bomb, where the event that happened previously happened again. Only this time there is a disastrous circumstance. So that's sort of like a brief outline of the China syndrome. And this really would have been a Jane Fonda film. It's got her as the main actress on the poster, in the titles, but Jack Lemmon basically just stole the show. He was down to get an Oscar nomination, but unfortunately Kramer versus Kramer just creamed the Oscars that year. So basically the film and the actor and actresses and production crew really only got prizes at the Cannes Film Festival. But it's fortuitous when this film came out. So it came out in mid-1979, but 11 days later, an actual nuclear accident did occur on 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania, where a leaky valve did cause a nuclear threat. And I think that might have helped push the ratings on this film, because it was made on a very shoestring budget. From what I know, the budget was 5.9 million, and the box office at the end of the year was 51.7 million, which just goes to show how popular this film was. From my perspective, it's one that I picked up not at the cinema. I don't think it would have been one that would have been on my radar, being as I was only around 10 or 11 years old. But when we first got our video recorder and all those early films that were on VHS, it was one of those films that my father and mother would have picked up to watch, and I would have just ended up putting it in and watching, because I was a hound for anything to do with film. And so I remember looking at it and being riveted. Don't know if it's because of how the ending is in this film. It's a very harrowing ending. And it brings together the point of view that I have, that the film, when I look back, has very little score in it. When it comes to the music, there was a composer that was brought in to do the music. I believe it was Stephon Bishop, but there's very little in it, and they decided to go more along the lines of a sound effect. So there's lots of quiet moments, and especially at the end for the climatic sequence. So, do I recommend this film? Absolutely. Absolutely brilliant film. The picture quality is not bad for a Blu-ray. I wish there was a 4K of it. It has passed several anniversaries. Sony have done it quite a good treatment through the years. But I think we're going to do an unboxing now. So I've got my disc here and my cutting utensil for opening up. If anybody's interested, I've bought this on the indicator label, although Sony did bring out its own celebrational Blu-ray treatment of this film. So now that the cover is off, you can see the cover is really quite simplistic. And on the back, you're treated to, again, very sparse when it comes to grandeur and colour and pictures, but it does have an awful lot of features for this one disc edition, and it's multi-region, as you can see, A, B, C there. When we open it up, again, very sparse with what you get. You get a nice label on the disc. You don't get a reversible sleeve, but you do get some other features that might be worth a look at if you like this particular type of film. So this film is very, very cheap. I think you can pick it up for less than £8. It's not out of print. I've seen quite a few copies around in our local HMV, and I believe there are plenty of copies at Amazon and other stores. But from my point of view, I totally recommend it. It's just one of those films that you want to put on a Sunday afternoon and get engrossed in a story and something that is so close to you that it could possibly happen. And I've lived through those years where Chernobyl happened. 1986 was Chernobyl. And it brings the fear of what a nuclear explosion could actually mean for us in any country that you live at. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I hope this has been a good retrospective. I do hope it encourages you to go out and get this film. I really can't not recommend it. It really is a shockingly good film. It's dated visually. It's dated from the clothes that people wear. It's definitely a piece of its time, but it's as current now as it ever could be. And with that, I'm going to say salute, and thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.